here on this beautiful gray Saturday here in Manhattan. My idea here is I'm going to do a watch along. So this is like a commentary track video to recent episodes that I have posted recently. So I'm going to do in reverse chronological order. I'm going to do well. I'll probably just start with the most two recent episodes. I'm going to start with Peach Oggs, which is like December 16th or something, and then I'm gonna go back to the Bard Room episode, which is like the Halloween episode. So I'm gonna watch them. You can watch along at home. I'll tell you when to start the video. God, I really need a selfie stick. um, so we're gonna get started here in a minute. You can play. Ideally, you'll have two. Gonna do a watch along video. So this is like a commentary track. One of my frustrations with YouTube is you can't upload multiple audio tracks. I would love to do commentary tracks for all of my videos and upload them. I definitely like to do commentary tracks for the whole scenes from a life, but I don't really want to. I don't want to bounce new video files, which are going to be like 10 gigabytes a piece, just so I can record a different audio track. I'm sure I could probably embed multiple audio tracks somehow. I don't really know how to do that, but this is the best I can do for now. So I'm going live. I'm going to do a watch along to the recent Peach Oggs episode. I'm going to get started. Let's just go ahead. Well, let me light up real fast, and then we'll get started. I just thought this would be a fun way to sort of deal with some of the recent subject matter and to explain what the fuck is going on in these videos. Maybe I'll do this for all the videos, but I want to at least do I had poetry readings the last 2 nights. Going to make some content up at Patsy's, up at Uber Patsy's later tonight. New York is cooking. We got a collating party tomorrow. I'm ready for the rich people economy to crash. I think if people get poor, I don't know. People need to eat. The Obama or the Biden era, Obama Jr., Obama Part 2, George W. Obama. It really sucks that my video yesterday got muted. That was like some of the best live streaming I've ever done. Literally. That whole section that was muted was like some of the best live streaming I've ever done. And it's all gone. I just don't get why when the phone call ended, why didn't it unmute? I had to do that manually. It made no sense. There was nothing on the phone that indicated I was muted. I'm going to sue YouTube. I want my intellectual property back. That could have made me a star. That little clip could have gone viral. But no, it got muted. So now I have to continue toiling in obscurity to 0 viewers. No one is watching. That's okay. I don't know. I pick weird times. I don't really do it at the same time every week, I guess. Maybe I should schedule. Like every Tuesday and Thursday I do live streams. I do just kind of randomly get on. I don't want to get up and go anywhere yet. I want to lay in bed, but I also want to feel productive. I probably should read and write, but I don't know. I like to do at least 2 live streams a week, and it pumps my viewership up. I made a playlist today of all the KGB open mics. There's been 15, I think, so far. Doesn't sound like that much, but that's how many I think I have on tape, 15. Let's see, September 1926. There were 5 in October. We skipped November 14th, but we've done every other Monday. So I'm pretty sure there's been 15. I crossed 900 Instagram followers. That was a huge milestone. We're going for 1,000. My goal is to get to 1,000 by my birthday. My birthday's the end of January. I'd love to have 1,000 Instagram followers for my birthday. Not that I give a fuck, but I don't know. It's a goal. It's the one. Well, it's probably the one quantity, that I like am gaining from, other than just like attention IRL and having, but the internet is an important part of that. So it's about tying all this stuff together, right? By filming stuff, by doing live events, by posting the open mics. If you want to see the whole story, you can watch all the fucking open mics and the show. You know what I mean? It's weird how a lot of the story is told through the open mics. Like, you see people early on that later, like Ashley came to the Halloween open mic. I didn't really know her that well at that point. Or Erkin performed at one of the earlier open mics. He did kind of like a speaking thing. I didn't know him that well. I didn't even know his name at that point. And you see the Crush poems. You see a wealth of Zlad performances. I'm an anthropologist. I'm a cultural anthropologist. And it's just quite a gallery of performances. It's just a collection of kind of downtown personalities and artists, There's a lot of talented fucking people that come through there. So it's definitely worth just auto-playing the whole goddamn thing. 15 open mics. Let's see, that would be, something like 45 hours. I counted my city life episodes today are something like 35 hours. So if you watch the entire New York epic, it's something like 35 hours. Speaking of which, why don't we get started with the watch-along? So once again, we're watching the Peach Oggs episode from November 23rd to December 13th, 2022. I'm thinking about adding dates to some of the film stuff, but the idea is, if you listen to the poetry, if you watch the videos, if you watch the live streams, you get the total drama, really. Even though the videos are long in and of themselves. I mean, this video is 1 hour and 37 minutes or something. Or this one's 43, but the other one's 1 hour and 37. So, like, but even that, you're only getting, you're not getting the interior. Whereas, like, if you read the poem, it's like there you're hearing the kind of, like, novel, the psychological. So anyway, here we are on the Upper West Side. We'll get started. I'm going to start playing the video in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's not playing yet. Okay, it just started. Okay, so yeah, this is the Upper West Side. This is 62nd and Broadway. I meet my weed distributor here on this little traffic island. The Panic in Needle Park, I think, was like near this location. So it's kind of a funny drug. Should I put the, okay, maybe I'll put the image in the background here. Okay, so this is the Pythian Temple, which one of my poems refers to the Pythian Temple. So the Pythian Temple, I guess, is where Buddy Holly did his last recording sessions, like True Love Ways, and a lot of his stuff with like orchestration right before he died. Buddy Holly lived in New York. He's kind of a presence in my poetry and, I mean, my face. This guy at the open mic was yelling, Buddy Holly, Buddy Holly, a few weeks ago. And obviously this is Central Park, this is Strawberry Fields. But anyway, the Pythian Temple, I guess Lady Gaga grew up in the Pythian Temple. And it's this amazing apartment building. It looks like some kind of crazy Pythian temple or something. And supposedly Robert Altman also, it's in my poem. One of my poems in Bloomsday mentions the Pythian Temple. So it's on the Upper West Side, and I don't know. I just wanted, so like watching the video, you wouldn't necessarily get that, but that's why I filmed that building. It's an interesting looking building, definitely. But I mean, the Upper West Side and this whole area of Central Park, like I've been really lucky to just be able to walk up there and kind of spend time up there because I mean, it's vintage. It's fragile, or maybe it's not fragile, but it has this kind of like browned pages quality. Like all this kind of like stonework and stuff has really nice, I don't know, like that's hard to come by. That kind of like lived in, that age, that solidity, the grace, the elegance of the design. So, I don't know. I mean, Central Park in autumn, part of my show is just about capturing the seasons. In New York, leaves are hard to come by. So, Central Park is kind of the central place to go to, like, exemplify. I mean, just the color, right? It's beautiful, the mall, like, it's a must. As a videographer, as a sort of Ouija-esque street photographer in the metropolis, it's I mean, the super talls are something that I've been really fascinated by. There was an op-ed in the New York Times recently that was like, short people are the future because they use less resources, I guess, which I didn't really think about it that way. But I guess tall people, they eat more food. I don't know. They take up more everything, I suppose. So, once again, but the super talls are sort of like this, building example of that. They just suck up resources and nobody even lives in them. They're like 20% occupancy because Ed, my friend, lives right near Billionaires Row. Billionaires Row is 57th Street. He lives on 56th. So he walks out the door and he's on Billionaires Row practically. And he said these buildings are 20% occupied. It's probably the lower floors. But I don't know. The super talls, I do think, are the future, for better or for worse. They've grown on me. They have like an anime or like a vaporwave quality. So usually I try to indicate when I'm going to Brooklyn, and the bridge, taking the JZ over the bridge is a good visual opportunity. It's like The Sopranos. They're showing you they're leaving New York. That's what this shot is. Plus, it's just beautiful shots. My show is really just like a collection of vantages. It's a prismatic sort of diamond look at Manhattan and the big, refracted hall of mirrors that it is. Well, just like all of the angles, all of the. So this is System Lord, right, at Bar, or Heart Bar. So this is around Thanksgiving. I didn't film anything on Thanksgiving because I was sick. So right between those two, when I was uptown Central Park that Wednesday, I had gone on this whole walk to buy weed, went to the Pythian Temple. I walked through Central Park because it was, nice weather and like nice leaves and shit. And I went to the open mic at Producers Club on 44th Street, which you don't see in the episode. I didn't film anything there, but I shared a joint with some people, and I got sick because I shared a joint with somebody who was sick. So I was sick all Thanksgiving. I had the flu, basically. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So this was Sunday night. Heart Bar happens to be the last gig that Wavetable played. The last gig I think Wavetable ever played was at Heart Bar. And Heart Bar is pretty similar to Bar Freda. They're both basement venues. They're not that far from each other. They kind of have a similar vibe. So this gig, in a lot of ways, was pretty similar to the Dime Store show gigs we've been doing. It was in a basement in like Bushwick, Ridgewood. Almost nobody was there. Probably like, I don't know, 6 to 10 people. But it's just weird to think. I mean, our last Wavetable gig was December 2019. That was an entirely different decade. Now it's 2023. I mean, this was the Sunday after Thanksgiving last year. 2022 feels so old all of a sudden. Feels like just, it's so out. 2022 is out. 2023 is in. We can't stop these in and out lists. They're just they're too compulsive. They're just too fun. So yeah, I was basically still sick when I at this gig. I had like my ear was stuffed up, and I had a little bit of like a ringing kind of earache. So I had a little bit of a fever. I was tired. That's why I'm sitting and I'm dressed like shit. I normally wear the suit and stuff. For this gig, I was just like, these are like my sick clothes. I literally spent the whole weekend, the last 4 days, right here sweating and miserable. It wasn't that bad. I don't know. I don't know if I had COVID. I don't think I did. Um, but I made it to the System Lord. But that's why I'm sitting the whole time. Also, my outfit is kind of inspired by, like, at this point, I was listening to a lot of Jim Cornette podcasts. He's got 2 podcasts. The dude is so charismatic. He has 2 weekly podcasts, and, like, people are, like, devoutly, subscribed. So, Cornette's a legend. But he's from the territory. So I was watching all this, like, Southern wrestling, like Smoky Mountain Wrestling, AWA, all this, like, really, all this Ric Flair stuff, Dusty Rhodes stuff from, like, the 80s, Harley Race. And that's kind of how these guys dress. It's kind of how Dusty Rhodes dresses. Those fucking shit kicker kind of jeans. They're just super pale, super normcore, super hillbilly. Look like you got them off the rack at, like, Kmart or something. But, like, brawler jeans. And then my shirt is just, like, the kind of, that plain red kind of Merlot matte look. It's just a down and dirty kind of, like, country. Like, I'm ready to get in the cage match. I'm wearing cowboy boots to the wrestling match. Cowboy boots and jeans. I don't know. It's become a thing recently for me to take my shirt off at gigs. I don't know why. It just makes sense. It's a wrestling thing, I guess. Rollins performs in, like, his underwear. I kind of can relate to that. Wrestlers come out, their whole bodies on display. I don't know. I think displaying male skin, the male form can be beautiful and delicate and fragile. My body is, like, more like those things. I'm not, like... But, I don't know. It's kind of nice. The lighting in this video is really nice. Like, these different colors and stuff. It looks like the Tonight Show. It looks like the Carson Tonight Show from, like, the 70s. I was watching tons of that at this point, too. So, System Lord, this was almost like an extension of the residency, the Dime Store show, because the Dime Store show was the last Tuesday of the month, and this was like the end of the month, too, in a basement in Ridgewood, so it was almost the same gig, practically. But it was a little bit of a different crowd, so it was cool to get in front of some new people. Ashley was there. She came out. I played... This is from the 400 Blows, this music. I guess I can have some audio in the background, but I don't want too much. That's from the 400 Blows soundtrack. I like doing this thing where I thank the audience now. I've been really working on, like, my patter. I'm trying to bring back that kind of, like, razzle-dazzle, kind of glitzy. I'm the compere. I'm trying to bring, like, that Steve Lawrence... Just talking to the people, class, glamour, mixed with, like, contemporary, behavioral collage. So then the calm after the storm here, walking home from, so I'm back in Chelsea, I just time warped back to Chelsea. And then here we are the next day. Monday. Got a show the very next day. I didn't even fucking film anything in between. See, that's what I'm saying. Maybe I could put a date on the screen or something. There's not necessarily an indication that this is a day later, per se. But this is right. So I'm still kind of sick, right? Like, to have these shows back to back, it was like, fuck. Uh, this was November 30th. This was a good show. I remember, like, I think, like, nobody I knew showed up. Well, no, there's Ed. Fuck. Um, there's Erkin, the young protege. Uh, that's the Jerry Garcia tie. This video, I forgot to record my opening. I thought I pressed record on the camera and it didn't record. So if you watch the full open mic, you'll just see it starts with like this guy playing guitar, and it's like it's because I thought I had a pretty I was wearing my Jerry Garcia tie. For some reason it was supposed to be kind of psychedelic. That was sort of the joke. Uh, I don't typically wear the Jerry Garcia tie. I really only own one tie, and I wear it every fucking week. I wear that skinny black tie basically every week. That was an abbreviated open mic. You know, like the open mic is obviously a running, like, thread through the recent episodes, but I don't want to show too much of it per se. Like that one, I didn't get my opening, so my hair looked bad too. So, plus I had the whole System Lord sequence right before that, which was kind of long. One of my big regrets with these recent episodes is I haven't actually gotten that many of my comedy performances, or like a lot of the open mics I've done, I don't actually have on film, which like they would have told a lot of the story, because I was doing a lot of comedy open mics at this point where I was just talking about life and things, and so like there was some funny shit that just sort of like I did it and it's gone. But I like this meta point of view. Obviously, a lot of my life takes place from this couch, so I'm constantly looking at this window at the Ashbury building, at my books. So including editing in the show, including the making of the show in the show. The show is eating itself. I like playing with these kind of like, you know, picture within picture within. Like that Dwanell thing where it's like he's got, you know, the drawing of him when he's a teenager, and then he's standing in front of it in a picture, and then there's a picture of the two of them in that, and then another picture of him older, you know. The Dwanell thing, that was a huge influence, right? The fact that he made a series of films about one character that sort of traced the character through his life. But there was also sort of an autobiographical kind of like doppelganger. You know, it was an alter ego. And, you know, there really aren't that many examples of that in film. You know, where there's like one character that's sort of like you see the same actor play it, you know, as a child, you know, as in their 20s and their 30s. And, you know, I mean, Truffaut died, but, you know, there are four. The interesting thing about the Dormammu films is that the genres kind of change, right? Like, 400 Blows is like kind of an indictment of like, you know, this kind of penal system and this kind of like brutal, I don't know, the way the kid is treated. And then Bed and Board is like a screwball comedy. I love L'Amour en Fuite. Love at 20, of course. I'm sort of living the Love at 20. I mean, I somewhat resembled Jean-Pierre Léaud, so that was a big thing. And Truffaut. It was easy for me. So this is this guy's Beckett's townhouse, which is on Hudson in the West Village. It's an amazing space. It's like this. It's like a DIY house venue where they do all these literary events and play readings, and it's just kind of the hoi polloi and the downtown glitterati. And so I found out about it recently, kind of through the open mic. This was supposed to be the last night. The guy was supposed to be getting, and not to put his shit on blast or anything, but he was supposed to be getting, I don't know, it's kind of a interesting living situation. So, but they haven't had to close yet, and they're still doing events, thank God. But I mean, it's an amazing, this is on Hudson, right near Christopher Street. It's like, and a lot of these people are kind of like Dime Square, or like, they're in publishing, but it's Manhattan. It's not in Brooklyn. It's not, Green Light Books. It's not Crown Heights. It's not, uh, it's the West Village, right? It's I can walk there from here, but I guess I won't be able to forever. Who knows? But I wanted to get footage of it. A big part of my show is I'm trying to show Bohemia, literary life, literary world. These were the things that I was starved for as a young person, the things I was looking for in literature and movies. If I wanted to see stories about New York, I wanted to see stories about writers, and I wanted to have things to dream about and to pattern my own experience on. And so, things like beat literature, Jack Kerouac writing about his friends who are all poets, writing about the Six Gallery reading, like, you call from a lot of different stuff, right? These Woody Allen movies, right? Like Manhattan is sort of like about literary people. Tenenbaums is sort of like a New Yorker-ish. So it's like you're spitballing this kind of like fantasy New York from all of these different cultural sources. I just want to kind of throw my 2 cents in. And, if I was in high school or something watching YouTube or whatever, TikTok, this would be something that I would probably be like, oh, this is what I want to do. I want to get to New York and, be at these fucking parties, living like this, going to bars, doing readings, hanging out with other poets, running around Manhattan, having a great time, making art. So this is WXOU radio. It's a great group of people. We got Mayor. This was like a Tuesday night. We got Ed. There's Ashley. There's Kat. And then here I am at work again. I think this was the day after that. Or no, I think the day after that was the Bruce Whitaker reading, which I'm surprised I don't have any footage from that. That's a shame that I don't have any phone footage from that in this. This, I think, was Wednesday. So I was like doing 4 days in a row right after I'd been sick. I think this was the Ted Berrigan launch, wasn't it? Or that may have been later. Oh, this was Will Alexander. This reading was incredible. This was probably my favorite reading, like, of the year. I loved what he did. He just kind of, like, really... He talked and kind of, like, he's one of the fucking smartest people in America, in the United States. And his poetry is pretty unique. Just the way it's situated within the traditions that it is. So once again, this is another piece of the puzzle. This is St. Mark's Church. I'm the videographer for certain events. So these are like the poet friends. There's James, there's Ashley, there's the other Matt. He's mentioned in my most recent chat book, the open mic chat book. He's the other Matt who bought my book on 22nd Street like it was a drug deal. He's awesome. He's a great person. This was just some crazy bus we saw in the East Village. Can you see this? Can I zoom in on this, maybe? No one is watching. I'm doing my live watch-along that nobody gives a fuck about. This is Avenue A. We went, this was a Columbia University, somebody's birthday party that Ashley kind of like got me into. You know, it was like you had to be on a list at Revision Lounge on Avenue B. So we went to this fucking Columbia MFA person's birthday party, and they had a carrot cake, and I ended up eating like a good amount of the carrot cake. It was fucking good as hell. But there they are. That's their birthday party. It's their party, even though I'm sitting in the throne wearing a crown. If you know, this is what the future writers. These are the people that are going to be like running publishing, running magazines, getting published, like teaching, working in universities. These people are like very type A. They're very, you know, they're achievers. They want to make you feel inadequate. But they were nice. I mean, it was a fun party. Even though everybody's like super hot and like kind of mean or whatever. Okay, so I missed Friendsgiving, right? Because I was sick. I was legitimately just like, I wanted to go to Friendsgiving, definitely. I was looking forward to it, but I got sick. So Ashley was kind of giving me a bunch of shit for not going to Friendsgiving. So I went uptown to visit. We watched the French Dispatch. But this was before I went to her. She lives right off Central Park. So this is like the northwest corner of the park. And so, once again, more Central Park. Central Park is like a running theme. It's the nature, right? This is like the nature poem part of the, showing the different kind of sinews and like tendons and like ligaments of experience. It's not all just bone. It's like they're, these kind of connective tissues of like walking through the park, appreciating the leaves, including the landscape. That turret is just like so remarkable. There's a reason for every shot. It isn't just like I just turned on the camera randomly, although maybe I should do that. This was the view out her window. So my concept of it was just like, this is your average New Yorker's existence, It's like, I'm pretty lucky to have the views that I have. It's kind of nuts, actually. Whereas that's actually a pretty nice view, too. A view of the street, a view of the other buildings. It's just like it's a classic New York, the fire escapes. She said that shot of her was creepy in the shadows. It's got kind of a Ring quality. But we were watching a movie, so it was like dark. This was the salon the next day. I've been collecting all these paper bags because I think they're beautiful. They're just good paper. They're like parchment. And so I have all these paper bags in my kitchen from like, sandwiches or the Punjab Deli. And I was like, you guys should do a puppet show. I just handed them out to everybody. I handed out these bags to everybody just to see what they do with them, because they're creative people. At the salon, the idea is everybody's drawing, everybody's writing, talking, just being creative, hanging out. So I thought, let me throw the paper bags into the mix. And they come up later. This, if you notice, I changed up the theme song. Normally I do Larry Sanders' theme, just because I think it's funny. But for this, I switched to Carson theme, because I was watching tons of Carson. I was studying Carson. Carson was like one of my first heroes as a child. And so I was trying to tap into that. I'm back, and Carson had this whole period in New York that sort of disappeared. Like he lived in New York for 17 years. He hosted a game show here. What was it? Who Do You Trust? And then he hosted the Tonight Show here for 10 years. And all of his Tonight Shows from New York got destroyed, basically. They threw him like in a landfill. Or like wiped him to record other shit on top of. So his whole kind of New York period, there's very few clips of it that exist. There's a few on YouTube, but not that many. But, obviously Carson is the person that everybody kind of tries to imitate. But I mean, this show, the way I look at it, it is a variety show. It's like the Ed Sullivan Show. It's like the Tonight Show, where it's like I come out, I do a monologue, I have guests, musicians. You know, people read poetry on the Tonight Show. There's a few different. Orson Bean comes out and reads a fucking poem. Jimmy Stewart will read a fucking poem. You know, like it's not like now talk shows have kind of just become like interviews, music. That's it. But it's like there used to be kind of more interesting shit. So the way that I look at the open mic is like a big top. And if I can class it up and host it, if I can have a quip ready, just studying what Carson does, right? Studying his reflexes, his sense of humor, how he keeps things kind of classy, dignified, how he treats the guests, how he supports the mood and like what the mood is. He's got so much, his posture and his voice and his mannerisms are so charismatic that he's just watchable. It isn't even necessarily always funny. It's just he's kind of a fascinating person to just kind of see. And so thinking about how to present yourself on stage, like I wear the suit and shit like that. There's Ashley reading at the foot of the stage. Once again, here's the poets after the reading, still hanging out. Ed, what a snappy dresser that guy is. I mean, I don't think he gets enough credit for that. This is Bowery, so we're walking on, KGB's on East 4th Street. We're walking west, across Bowery, across Washington Square Park. This is 8th Avenue and 23rd Street, right around the corner from me. My neighborhood. Okay, so this is the day after the open mic. Oh yeah, I'm going to get divorced. I used to do this thing where I record, every once in a while lines would pop into my head, like almost like lines from movies, and I would just record and put them in the show. And I stopped doing that. That was an example of doing it, though. So I walked to the courthouse. My ex was in town. She insisted. She got us an appointment with the fucking clerk of courts or whatever the fuck it is. And, to be honest, people do not go in person to get divorced. They don't go to the courthouse to get divorced. They go to the courthouse to get married, and then when they get divorced, they do it through the mail. They don't do it face to face. And so they wouldn't even like let us in at first. They were like, we don't even do that here. Like, you didn't do that through the mail. Like we get people married here. we sign marriage licenses and like domestic partnerships. So they literally weren't even going to let us in at first. I had weed. I had 4 joints in my tea tree therapy container, which I use as sort of my weed holster, my joint holster. And there was a big sign in the front of the courthouse, no alcohol or drugs in the building. And so I'm thinking, oh, fuck. Am I going to get arrested? Like, there's a metal detector. Like, there's all these fucking cops. I'm like, I probably reek of weed. Like, but we were able to do it. No big deal. We sort of got it done. And now we are, this was my divorce. So this was my legal, it's been a divorce party ever since. I've been having a great post-divorce. Actually, once I got divorced, that's when shit really did kind of get insane, actually. I should have got divorced a lot sooner. Once again, back at the Poetry Project. So this is like my job. I'm a jobber here. But, I want to include it as part of like the poetic life. So that's Penny Arcade, one of my heroes. This was a reading for the 50th anniversary of the Poetry Project newsletter. It was in the sanctuary, so a lot of the former editors were there. It was kind of cool. This was my divorce party. That was just one shot real fast. And that, okay, so that shot, it may be as controversial for filming people that, without their permission or something, I don't know. To me, it was just an interesting moment. I mean, Edmund Berrigan, who's one of my favorite poets, picked up this really cool instrument on the street. He was showing it to everybody. I thought, well, this is kind of an interesting moment. You know, at my divorce party, it was kind of like the Poetry Project volunteers, and then they were at another table. And so they came over and kind of sat with us. It was cool. It was nice of them, you know. We got to hang out a little bit. I wasn't trying to, like, you know, violate anybody's privacy or anything. I was just trying to share this poetic camaraderie, you know. At 12th Street Ale House, which is kind of a famous after reading place. So then this was a party at Ed's house, above Patsy's, which was basically my idea. I went up there and I was just like, you gotta have a party. I mean, he did have a party, and then he said he cut somebody's finger off or something, so he had to stop having parties. He has a sword. But as you can see on the right, he's got his green screen. You know, this was a gathering of poets. This is as much a part of the work as anything. We've got Ben, who's a writer, who's the bartender. These are the bartenders at KGB. There's Billy Pedlow. There's Billy, you know, Billy's friends Moraine from Montreal. And then there's Nikki on the bongo drum. You know, a bongo is when you have a bongo, you know you're in the right place. And you know the police are going to come soon. You know somebody's going to bust the party because you're just having too much fun. You're too close to the nerve. So you got to keep moving. You know, and here it is. Here we all are, you know, being young. There's Jonathan Aprea. This guy in the back is on Marvelous Miss Maisel. I thought that was kind of a fortuitous overlap and kind of coincidence. You know, the way truth, fiction, the present, these kind of, you know, major media things are kind of interlacing the mythology of the past. We are the current version of that. We're in the same places. On McDougal, Bleecker, we're doing the same fucking thing. We are the Marvelous Miss Maisel. You know, look at this. This is the Gaslight. This is CBGB. This is the Cedar Tavern. Fuck the establishment. Now it's just about energizing people's artistic skills, energizing their power. So this video is probably, okay, 9 minutes left, 10 minutes left, if you're watching at home. So this is the puppet show, right? It was a hit. My performance was insane. I had microdose, which I guess I found out later didn't really do anything. But my performance, I went off the rails very early. I thought this is a gathering kind of like performance artists, and like this is the inside of the inside. This is not like doing it in a bar, doing it at like, you know, for the open mic, it's like I have to be professional. I have to like kind of keep it, you know, I want to have class. I want, you know, I have to like keep the show like running and smooth. So I have to have a certain amount of like clarity and sobriety. With this, it was like, this is the gathering of kind of like the outlaws, the extremists, the people who are, you know, outsiders who are just like really pushing it. And these are the real motherfuckers, you know? And so they're performance artists. They have swords. I mean, Billy Pedlow pushes it pretty fucking far, you know? So I thought, I'm just going to go and just see what happens. You know, it was an interesting performance. I thought I was kind of interesting, but it was I touched a lot of the bases I wanted to touch. This wackadoo thing is a Jack Michelin thing. Jack Michelin would put these things into his poems that are just sort of like, almost like child nursery rhyme type shit. Wackadoo, wackadoo. Just like sound, like jazz sounds. And so I thought, I like throwing that in. It kind of, that pure music kind of lifts the reading to kind of a fun place. So with this, I was collaging a lot of, you know, I was doing kind of a roast. It was like a De Niro, Don Rickles, Joe Pesci, Goodfellas thing, you know. It was like Billy Bats. I literally thought, I told him to get a shine box. I thought he was going to put me in the trunk of his car. There they are in front of the green screen. The Bohemians. Oh, I'm gonna lay down while I'm doing this. My back is starting to hurt. So there we are, okay? Kids at home, are you watching? Here's how it's done. Kids in high school in the Midwest, Grandview Heights. I mean, this is what they're doing. Probably some of the farthest. Oh, there's the puppet show. There's the puppet show. Um, One of the farthest out parties I ever went to was in Grandview. It was like this, actually, in a lot of ways, except maybe there was more people. It was like all these kids smoking weed and like they had that Flaming Lips album that's like 4 different CDs that you put on all at once, and it's like you have to have 4 different stereos and like you listen to it from 4 different, like really psychedelic. A lot of people in my hometown did do psychedelics probably at a pretty young age. I waited till I was 35. Um, Look at the light show. Look at the mingling. Ed's really good with like electronic MIDI music, creating backing tracks. Uh, there I am, kind of partied out. I mean, I kind of got fried early because Billy Pedlow almost punched me in the face. He was not happy. I mean, I don't know. I think he was mad. Once again, it's like this is an issue. If you're gonna mention people by name and put their shit on blast in public, right to their face, there might be retaliation. I meant it as a tribute to him. It was meant to be like, this guy's my hero. He inspired me. I didn't intend it to be like, an insult at all. It was meant to just be a funny kind of like tribute. This guy's a legend. um, I even changed the poem to be like really flattering when I read it. He knew that. He heard that. He could tell that I had changed it in the moment. That's how good Billy Pedlow is. He asked me about it afterwards. But after that point, it was almost like I had spent all my energy. I spent the rest of the party just kind of doing this. Sitting there and observing, filming stuff. I was fried. The acid. He grabbed my shoulder really hard. He grabbed my shoulder and like squeezed it like really hard. And he kind of sent this energy through me that was like, oh, fuck. I've pissed off Billy Pedlow. He's going to kick my ass. He said he wanted to punch me. He said he should have started wailing on me. I covered my face. I literally covered myself because I thought he might rain blows upon me. So here we are, 2 days later. That was Saturday. This is Monday. Back at the open mic. A lot of people had left for the holidays by this point. But we did have the sucking on a chili dog people. This guy texted me. So this is System Lord at the open mic. I've been trying to get System Lord to come out and do it forever. We finally did. It was the one night we had sound problems. But it sounded good. I mean, System Lord looks awesome on stage. The lighting looks dope. It was just cool that they did that. I'd like to have System Lord come back and do more of an extended thing. Book System Lord, man. It's just a shame that System Lord doesn't... I went on Gig Finesse yesterday to try to get some gigs. There are no suggested gigs in my area. I'm like, are you serious? Give us a gig at Bowery Electric, man. Give us a gig at Erling's Grocery. Like, System Lord will fucking slay. This guy's incredible. Aaron, he plays Bob Dylan songs in Washington Square Park, and he's just an amazing, hilarious dude. He hosts an open mic at Music Inn on West 4th Street. So this is the sucking on a chili dog guy. He came to the salon. If you look in one of the earlier clips, he's in the salon. He's in the, he's at the salon. So he inspired this little piece. I mean, sucking on a chili dog is an inside joke that a lot of people in Columbus have, too. My brother, hit me. My brother and this guy Rich from Columbus have like some kind of sucking on a chili dog. There's a lot of jokes like what is it, Sister Ray? He says sucking on a, doesn't he say sucking on a chili dog in Sister Ray? He says something like that in Sister Ray. Sucking on a ding dong, right? Doesn't he say something about sucking on a ding dong in Sister Ray? This is the kind of thing that people in Columbus tap into. Sucking on a chili dog. So Mellencamp has this fucking line, sucking on a chili dog, outside the Tasty Freeze. Which isn't it? It's from this fucking masterpiece, Jack and Diane. And so the guy has this short story about the Bush era called Sucking on a Chili Dog. Sucking on a dog. And so this was my, my expression of kind of the same. Sucking on a chili dog. Mellencamp, it does fit the Bush era. You know, that whole aesthetic fits Bush era, definitely. The Jack and Diane years. That was like the end of Jack and Diane. Wolfowitz. That's when rural America became like super heavy weapons militarized. Everything became like, I'm fucked in the head, I'm damaged. Ah! Brah! I'm gonna explode, I'm so dangerous. Help me. I'm scared. So there it is. That was an improvised, So it bookends the video. You have the sucking on a chili dog finale. I thought that was a good place to, the videos do have structure. Even though they are just kind of my camera roll, there is like, I do edit them, and they are kind of like, there's a weave that's happening. They're cut in camera. A lot of it. I believe in cutting in camera. Which is, you just film the shit that you need. You know, with life, you only get one take. And that's all you need. Fuck the rest. So there it was, okay? That was Peach Oggs. That was the watch along for Peach Oggs that nobody gives a fuck about. Nobody's watching. All right, so now we're going to move to Bard Room. So we're starting it now. This is Bard Room, okay? We just started. You saw me start it. So you can watch along. There's my beautiful front window. So this was earlier. We're watching out of chronological order. That one was later. This is Halloween. So this is like, there I am. I'm Indiana Jones for Halloween. This is a common thing. There's a lot of the first shots from these New York episodes are this shot. Looking out the window, looking back at me. It's the mortality shot. Because I'm very cognizant of time living in this place. Because I only have so much of it. You know, this is so precious to me. Because this is such a beautiful home. And just like such a beautiful time in my life. So that having that clock out the front window is kind of a very obvious... Plus, it's like a New York school thing. It's layers of history. You're seeing the Belfry, the clock. You're seeing the Google building and the Port Authority building, the big Google sign. So you're seeing the layers of history in that shot. And you're seeing me. This is like a funny take on... Here's the expository. This is a recurring thing with the bell, too. Eamon gave me that prayer bowl and the sound tongs. So usually when I have a performance... I do that before I go out as a way to kind of center and kind of become present and just like activate. It's part of my pre-shot routine. So this is me walking across the beautiful, down Greenwich Avenue, Jefferson Library, the mystical location of poets. I'm setting the context here. This is McDougal. This is Hugh Romney, Taylor Mead, Bob Dylan, Louis C.K., Dave Attell. I saw Dave Attell again the other day. Coming out of Comedy Cellar. He's cool. He's like famous now. Tig Notaro's in my book. Who else? Neil Ryan Walsh. The list goes on. The Beats, Kettle of Fish, Jim Carroll. The Gaslight. So this is my favorite. This is my table. This is the Matt Proctor table at Beatnik, which is on the corner of Bleecker and McDougal. This table is perfect because they can't see you from the cash register. There's a wall there. So you can sit at this outdoor table. Like I'll sit and I'll eat food from another restaurant. I'll get food at Saigon Shack, which is where Kettle of Fish was, and then I'll walk down to this table and eat it because the clerks can't see you there. And I'll smoke weed and just watch. People watch. Right at the corner. You know, there should be a fucking patio at the corner of Bleecker and McDougal, for Christ's sake. That's where Figaro was. My friend John Trouse, I think that's his name, right? He said the Figaro was pretentious when it was there. So this is Halloween, right? So, I mean, it's a Halloween tradition for me to just try to get... It's an interesting time to film reality, because reality kind of transforms, and suddenly there are all these mythical characters everywhere. There's werewolves, there's Alice in Wonderland. See, like, this guy's a fucking werewolf. There's a pirate on a skateboard with a broadsword. Or that guy's got a broadsword. See, there's the broadsword. It's just kind of funny. I mean, Washington Square Park was a big part of my show last year. I haven't been going there quite as much this year. I've been busier doing the open mics and shit. But it's kind of like the navel, maybe, of the show. It's like, kind of like the center, like, geographically. And, like, I don't know, psychogeographically. It's like an anchor. It feels like home. I feel like I'm going to work in Washington Square Park this summer. I'm going to try and sell poetry in Washington Square Park. That's my plan. Pretty fucking crazy, huh? Yeah, so there's a guy in huge stilts. You know, just weird Halloween shit. You know, there's a kid dressed as Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, you got to include that stuff. If you really watch the show, you know, like, it's life. It's a miracle. You know, it's all a miracle. You know, there I am, Indiana Jones, making my way. Running out of rolling papers. The fountain was on that day. There's a lot of references to blood in the fountain on my in my last chapbook. Somebody, you know, I think that was a Halloween thing. Maybe that was a few days later, but there were some people, not to be gross about it, but this girl in the red was pretty interesting. Transylvanian Convention. I thought about calling this episode Transylvanian Convention because I like to name the episodes after, like, signage. Part of the point of the show this year has been, like, reading the city and, like, you know, taking words off the city, putting it in the book, filming words. So, like Pisa. There's an episode called P-Y-Z-A. That's like a sign in the episode. There's one called Estrella Galicia. That's a sign in the episode. A lot of the episodes are named after some kind of hidden Easter egg in the episode. My show is just all Easter eggs. If you're a real devoted fan, then you understand it. You have to be totally obsessed to really get the full effect of my catalog. I feel like I should be charging people to hang out with me. No, I'm just kidding. Charging for my... So yeah, this is Quentin Crisp's. That's Quentin Crisp's apartment building on East 3rd Street. This is where I sit a lot of times before the readings. I thought that bookshelf was a good omen. Just a bookshelf sitting on the corner of East 3rd and 2nd Avenue. They have these nice tables outside the Bean, and Quentin Crisp literally lived right there in one of those in the building with the arched doorway. So he's one of my heroes and idols in doing this. You know, I wanted, it was my dream coming back to New York to have a weekly show. And so here it is. You know, we did it. It couldn't get any better than this, you know. I mean, unless it just really blows up, which would be cool. So I like to change up the theme. You know, I think times stamping the stuff is not necessarily a bad idea. And shaking it up, having variation within the form. You know, I don't just want to use the Larry Sanders music every fucking time. I want to have holiday shows, you know, I had like New Year's, I played different music. There's like themed shows. So this was the Halloween show. People wore costumes. She's a league of their own. You know, it just kind of makes it more fun. There was also an open mic downstairs the same fucking night. So there were literally two open mics at KGB the same night. We were competing in the same building, but we did it. It was fun. So this is Hyacinth. She's one of our favorite performers on the open mic. She's like a performance artist. I think maybe she went to Bard. She really goes all out. This was this was one of the best performances we ever had. The Michael Myers burlesque. Talk about a perfect thing for Halloween. So this was a burlesque dancer dancing to like this, 90s whatever. What is this? Pop punk, or I don't even know what the hell you call that. This was T. It was very special to have T come out and perform. If you watch the episodes from this summer, she's in Dopamine Junkie. She's in she's in the episode at Mercury Lounge. Peter Glissman, a fellow Buckeye. He's hilarious. There's Mo Hillis. I mean, Mo Hillis sounded fucking great. I encourage people to go back and watch the YouTube video of this because he really sounded great of playing those Robert Johnson songs. Very special to have on Halloween. Malted milk. This guy's unbelievable. I wish he would come back. I forget what his name is. Atlas? What's his name? He's amazing. I think he's Ed's friend. He hosts an open mic in Chinatown that I would love to go to. But I've seen him play in Washington Square Park. Trying to get, I don't think he's come back. There's always people that come once or there's always new people coming in. It's fun because now there is like sort of a scene being knit. People are starting to film relationships. I think doing that in a venue out in the world is good because we can take it to other venues. And it's not necessarily contingent on private property. So here I am as Indiana Jones emceeing. I just screen cap these on my phone from the YouTube videos. I upload the case. So I have this fucking, where is it? Where's my camera? Okay. This camera right here, my mom got me for Christmas 2016. You see it in the episode. She got it at the Grandview Heights Library book sale. Grandview Heights, the library of my hometown, for like $8. This is like a digital camera from like, I don't even know, 2006 maybe, or something like that, 2008. But it has a built-in hard drive. It takes about 3 hours. If you plug it in, the battery will last. And so that has been a godsend because I can digitally record all of my live performances and it isn't going to take up a huge amount of data. If I filmed a 3-hour open mic on an iPhone, it would be, 15 gigabytes or 20 gigabytes or God knows what. It'd be a lot. This, it's like 4 gigs or something for the whole show, maybe 6. And I pretty much just dump it straight on the internet. I mean, YouTube is a great archive. I think that's, I don't know if other people realize that, but like you can literally upload infinite fucking YouTube. And so, like, why the hell not? Is it nice outside today? I think it's kind of cold, right? It's like only 40-something degrees. This guy has like a piano band. I forget what his name is, but he was just kind of a funny, like rock and roll character. He was like a cool piano player, fedora. I'd like to see his band. The bitter end attracts those kind of like musician-y musician guys. Like real cat kind of guys, but and they're good. I mean, they sound good. This is me in St. Mark's Churchyard. Once again, it's a common motif. It's like a crossroads. You know, St. Mark's Churchyard is sort of like the Times Square of that area, where it's like it's a place to sit, or I don't know, Bleecker Park. It's just a nice little sitting park. It's a nice place to sit, smoke weed, and sort of take a breather on my way, you know, after the reading, after work, on my way to the East Village, on my way to the Lower East Side. I don't get south of Houston really hardly ever. At least not on the East Side. One of the recurring motifs of my show is filming people performing in restaurants through from the street. If you hear good music from the street, you're just like, yeah. You know, like there's these girls that were playing like Moog synthesizer or something in Soho. I think they're in this episode. You know, the show is just a collection of kind of like street performers, open mic performers. You know, the population of people are the quilt of kind of folk artists. It's almost like Alan Lomax or something. It's like field recordings. We're all doing that. We're all like archivists. It's just a matter of organizing it, I suppose. This is how I organize it. You know, I organize it into these life novel film things. That was Tuesdays at 9, which is a theater workshop. That's where I met Kit Crash, the great Kit Crash. I like going to that, but it's right after the open mic, and so if it's super cold out. This is my favorite place in New York, Perry Street and West 4th Street. Sitting on the St. Ambrose patio is pretty much, it doesn't get any better than that. I walk up West 4th Street practically every night on my way home. You know, if I'm coming back from KGB, I'll probably almost certainly walk up West 4th Street. Because it's just the greatest street in the world. It's so nice. And so, it's a common motif in the show, West 4th Street. It's a magical street. It's a poetic street. And coincidentally, it goes to my house, basically. It's a diagonal, you know, and KGB is on 4th Street. KGB's on East 4th Street. So literally, if I just walk west, it curves up and becomes 8th Avenue, more or less. At Corner Bistro. An art bar and where all that shit is. Tavern on Jane. But, you know, there's Cafe Clooney. I'm always walking by Waverly Inn. It's one of my favorite, you know, these are where the poets go. This is the lives of the poets. Getting it on video. This is maybe what it was like for Jack Michelin to live here. Or Maxwell Bodenheim. Or E.E. Cummings. Or Edward Albee. Or Bob Dylan. Or any number of people in the West Village. You know, this is where they were doing it. This is how they were doing it. You know, I mean, I live in Chelsea. It's not quite the same, but like, they were filming Sex in the City because it was autumn. You know, this week was super beautiful. Hollywood. The weather was nice though. The leaves were gorgeous, but the sunlight was nice and it was like warm. So Hollywood was fucking everywhere. This is where I heard that guy in the grocery store say Hollywood's in New York too. Hollywood is definitely in Chelsea. Hollywood loves Chelsea for some reason. Law and Order and Atlantic Theater, Seinfeld. Yeah, so doing readings in bars, walking these streets. I mean, it's not the same as it was, like Harry Styles says. But, all right. We're 69 minutes in. Maybe I'll do an hour and a half or something. I don't know. You know, because I listen to YouTube so much on my phone, I don't film my apartment as much as I'd like. So I kind of like consciously You know, I have to go back and be watching the older videos to see what I was doing to be like, oh, that was a good idea, or I should do more of that, or I need more of this. You know, I need more of the apartment. I need more, you know, like Christmas, right? I didn't get that much Christmas this year because it was so freaking cold. Everybody just kind of stayed inside the whole time. So it was like, the Christmas that I got was kind of after Christmas. The days themselves were not quite as marked. You know, I have specific Christmas episodes. If you watch my Christmas 2015 episode and Christmas 2016 episode, those are like classic Christmases, classic family Christmases. Whereas, you know, I wanted like New York Christmas. I got it last year, but this Christmas was also kind of like, not a dud, but it wasn't like familial or anything. It was just so cold. Everybody was kind of in their own hibernation. The open mic was Christmas. That's in the episode. I just put together a new episode the other day. So this is Bleecker. This is West Forest Twin. They're sister streets, parallel, like 4th Street and Summit in Columbus. Bleecker is super nice, but look at these fucking cranes. This is Hollywood shit. You know, they're probably shooting fucking... And just like that. Perry Street, here it is. This is Perry Street. This is the Andre Gregory Kenneth Koch Street. It's also the Sex and the City Street. Unfortunately, it's where Carrie Bradshaw's stoop is. So there's always fucking people. There's city bikes. It's just been completely, completely raped. Pardon my French, but it's what they did to Perry Street. If you go back and you watch the USA Poetry episode with Kenneth Koch, there's a lot of footage of him, and he lived at 69 Perry Street. There's a lot of footage of him there at the time walking around the West Village. Part of what I'd like to do is like sort of an update of USA Poetry, where like I just sort of do like studio visits with artists, record them talking. Like this new episode I've got coming out is sort of like that. I went out to Kelsey's house, to the Nebraska school. So it's just sort of like spending time with her, around her paintings, talking about that sort of, in a sort of, you know, oblique way, or like, you know, peripheral way. And just like showing the artist in their space, showing the artist in their life, you know, their work, how they, you know, in just like a totally organic way. And, you know, but that also attaches to the rest of the display on the show, right? Like, now when you see Kelsey Reed, or see her in the salon scenes or whatever, it's like... Oh, man. Should I have put the sex tape in the... Whoops, I shouldn't have said that. I take that back. Forget I said that. Mute. Am I muted? Have I been muted the whole time? I may have been muted this whole fucking time. I've not even known it. Is that possible? Maybe I'll watch this later and the whole fucking thing will be muted. That would suck ass. These are a lot of... You know, I don't get down to this park very often. It's in Tribeca. I wanted to go down to the Roxy. Everybody's been sort of like talking about the Roxy and shit. So I wanted to just like, I guess in my fantasy life, they would screen my diary films at the Roxy. I could do a 35-hour showing of my city life. Maybe I'll do a marathon of scenes from a life or something the week of my birthday. I want to do a festival. I want to do a Matt Proctor festival in the apartment, like the week of my birthday. I want to do like a marathon reading where I read like every night for like a week. Maybe I'll live stream it, but you can also come in person. And then I'm going to show scenes from a life, you know, like every night for a week. As like an installation. You know, so you can walk in, watch it when you want to watch it, come back out. You don't have to watch it at certain points. Um, just have it sort of installed, like in a museum. You know how they show like in a black box theater. You can walk in, you watch it for a second, then you leave, or you can stay. You know, you can watch it as long as you want. Um, like maybe I'll do it. That's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna do a festival of Matt Proctor. Maybe I'll do a talk piece one night. I'll do a live. That'll be my sort of grand finale. We're in the initial stages of planning. Let me write it down. The Matt Proctor Festival. God damn it. Where's my pen? Okay, so this is Soho Playhouse open mic. This is one of my favorite places to go. For one, because it's like 20 minutes from here, walking. But also, it's where Bruce McCulloch did his solo show when he was in town. And this guy was incredible. I thought this guy was super talented. I forget what his name is, but he is very talented. Um, Dark Doves, we played with her a couple times at the hostel. We played with her at the hostel. Um, that was kind of before the open mic. Now it'd be easier for me to book people for that. You know, if I had a gig where I needed to book people, I could just pull people from the open mic. But they also did the premiere of Nanette, the fucking Greta, whatever her name is. Oh, fuck, what is her name? Nanette, Hannah Gatsby, right? And then they did the premiere of Fleabag in this theater, Soho Playhouse. So it's like kind of a good place for solo shows. And this is like the cabaret downstairs. And it's just, there's really cool. The host is cool. It's an eclectic bunch. They let you kind of experiment and do weird stuff. So it's kind of perfect for me. It's, you know, they do an open mic late Fridays where it's like literally you can go as long as you want. There's no list. People just jump up. So it's like they'll let you go for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. I've been having a, you know, I'm an open mic aficionado. It's my life. It's my wife. It's cool. There's nothing better, honestly. Just jumping on and meeting people. And I mean, it would be nice to have real shows every night, but like, it's kind of nice to be in the mix. It's just like one of the performers and one of an equal democracy of voices, kind of. So once I'm always trying to show just different vantages of New York, right? This city life series has just been, this is about being swallowed up by Manhattan and just like showing it from every possible, but organically, right? So that was a map on the street, you know, Union Square. You know, filming maps on walls. I sort of stopped doing these kind of shots where I put my camera. I should do more of that. It's kind of hard. I need like a second unit. I need like a cameraman to like film for me. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to work at this. I'm not sure what I was doing at this point. But as you can see, it's like earlier autumn. So it's like the leaves are still like a little fuller on the trees and shit. It's still daylight, longer. You know, this is like, I mean, I was making about a 2-hour long episode every 2 weeks. So, like, I don't know. It might seem like a lot now, but 10 years from now, this is going to be gold. I mean, now it's gold. I think people might get interested in it. I don't know. Who knows? If this whole thing catches on, oh, okay, this is when I went to the St. Mark's open mic. You know, if this group catches on, if what we're doing catches on as sort of like an interesting literary scene or movement that's happening, you know, connecting it into Manhattan, connecting it into these other scenes, into these other writers, these Dime Square people or New York Times writers or what have you, now suddenly we're on their radar. We're not just like doing some open mic in Brooklyn that nobody knows about, or, you know, it's just kind of a performance art thing for, you know, for bohemians that live in, which is cool. I think it's important to keep that stuff alive, but like bringing that energy into Manhattan and professionalizing it or making it like a big show. I don't know. That's fun. And having that kind of bulkhead here, you know? So this is Matthew Silver's open mic at St. Mark's Comedy Club. I mean, once again, I don't have my set. I don't remember. I think I did okay at this. But, you know, Matthew Silver is just everywhere. You know, he's like, he's in Union Square. He's in Washington Square. He's at every open mic. We perform with him at Dime's show a bunch of times. He's come to my open mic a couple times. Like, it's amazing how just like omnipresent Matthew Silver is. So once again, like, I don't have the footage of me performing there. It would probably make the show, it would give it more of a through line, and it would show that that's really what I'm doing. You know, what I'm doing going to all these open mics, I'm not just going to film people. I'm going to, like, discipline myself. I mean, I guess maybe it's better that it's not filmed. That way I can make mistakes or whatever and people don't see it. But there's a little bit of every set, I'm sure, that, like, is pretty good and could be in the footage. So one of the things that's hard is, like, so much of the show is from my point of view that, like, it's getting very dark. You know, it's like you don't often, you know, see me from like a third person perspective. It's always either me like holding the camera, which I guess is sort of like a second person maybe. Whereas like when other people film you, send you the footage, or you can rip the footage from them or whatever. Or like this is something that just comedians do at open mics and stuff. It's like they all film every set they do, even though they're terrible comedians telling the same jokes every time. They take, you know, 20, 30 seconds, if it works, if the audience liked it, and they put it on their Instagram reels. I guess there's some kind of like Instagram reel gold rush happening, where like Instagram is really pushing the reels because they want to compete with TikTok. So they're giving people tons of views and stuff. Maybe I'm too late for it. I saw this one poet had like 69,000 followers the other day. I was like, what the fuck? How did this happen? And I see, like, they were making all these reels. And I was like, okay. It's about, you got to make these fucking reels now. They're really trying to get people into that. I don't know. I kind of like the gray and the blue. This is like a, you know, Picasso. Oh, this is Greenwich Avenue. This is Greenpoint. So I must be going to Pete's? That's the only reason I could possibly be in Greenpoint. I guess the hazards of doing a commentary track when you smoke weed is like you don't really remember what the fuck happened. Well, I think this episode started on Halloween. So this has got to be when I'm going. So my ritual, I was just talking about this last night. My ritual when I go to Pete's is I always go to Brooklyn Standard and get a Jewel sandwich and then go to Pete's afterwards because it's just like the best sandwich in New York. For me, it's because it's gluten-free bread and it's only like $10. So it's relatively affordable with gluten-free. And it's nice to go to McCarran, or this is McGolrick. I have a lot of weird history with McGolrick Park. Brooklyn represents just a lot of like stress and drama to me. You know, like McGolrick Park was where all the fancy poets went, and it's where Olivia always went with her dude. And then it's where I did acid with Sarah, and I moved over there. So I was hanging out with McGolrick, living in Greenpoint, right by the goddamn freeway. And I don't know. I didn't really like that part of Greenpoint. I did not love living there, to be honest. Like, Greenpoint is nice. I do like Greenpoint, but it's not that convenient transportation-wise, and I don't know. It just represents a lot of stress. I saw Speed Levitch, One of the last things that happened before we left New York in 2019, right before the pandemic, was we stopped at Brooklyn Standard to get food, to get a Jewel sandwich, and on our way out of New York, we had just finished putting all of our shit in storage, and we were about to leave New York to drive to fucking L.A. Well, really to Columbus for the holidays and then to L.A. But well, actually San Francisco, Santa Rosa. And we stopped at Brooklyn Standard, and we were in the Lexus out front, and we saw fucking Speed Levitch walk by, and I leaned out the window, my whole body out the window, and I go, Speed, we love you, or something like that, you're the man, whatever. And like he turned around and he looked and he waved or something. So that was kind of a weird omen for the 2020s, and then the pandemic happened. And then the LA Story episode happened, and then the pandemic happened. People have been watching the LA Story episode recently, I think because they want to see me cry with hippie hair. But this is like a Williamsburg. I mean, my show really took place in Brooklyn for the first, whatever, 6 years, 5 years, 6 years. So I don't necessarily feel the need to film Williamsburg. I just don't find those areas that visually interesting anymore. I mean, they are, but like, living in Manhattan, it was kind of a fresh thing to be able to film all of that, and it was about cataloging that, almost like that guy who's he's doing like a drawing of every building in Manhattan, or every building in New York City, or like drawing every person in New York City, just like cataloging, So yeah, this is the Dead Pete Society. This is a recurring open mic I go to, but this one was special because James was there and Sarah Ann Wallen was there. James sees the camera. I don't know. He waved. There's Billy Pedlow doing his transgressive thing. They pack it. There's 20 or 30 people in there. It's people sitting on the floor. It was last night. Last night was the Pete's reading. So it's like a monthly. I go any month I can. If I'm not working, then I go. This is where I met, Kelsey, Carlos, Billy Pedlow. So, like, but then Jonathan Apreas from Poetry Project. So, I think this girl I had done a reading with at Elizabeth Street Garden. I think if you go back and watch some of the episodes from Elizabeth Street Garden, there's a clip of her reading. So, it's like you see these recurring poets. Usually I film people who I resonate with, right? If somebody's doing something that I'm like, okay, I want to have this. This is good. So, like there's Kelsey. I think I have footage of the first time I ever saw Kelsey read, just because I was like, this person's interesting. This was a little bit before we really started hanging out. This was like right around when we started doing the salons. But James is from Poetry Project. He's from, Better Read Than Dead. Whereas there's this whole core of the Pete's writers. And so getting them to read at Pete's, getting them to read at the KGB open mic, spreading it as much as we can, getting the salons together, doing parties, going to Zlad's house doing parties. As much activity. That's what I learned from like these East Village poets that I was reading with, at Shades of Green and all that stuff earlier. It's like those people are doing something every day. Every day there's an art opening, there's an open mic, there's a reading, there's a this, there's a that. It's like they're always getting their group together. They're doing book launches. They're taking pictures. It's like that's what we're here to do. Like, make time for it and just fucking do it, I mean, it's New York. It's hard to burn the candle on both ends. Now we're all unemployed. So who knows how long it will last, but making that possible is the goal. right? Where just your life can be living the art. And I think going to the events is important, actually. Like, I forget who it was, but there was some painter I was reading about, and they were saying, like, it was such, maybe it was David Wanarovich, but it was like, they would work during the day and then they would always go out to see bands or whatever at night. And that was like an important part of their process to like get out into the world, hear stuff, look at stuff. So this is the gathering of the poets. We've got Dolan Morgan, not to name names or anything, but then we've got James in the background. He's spitting game as usual. Jonathan Aprea. Kelsey is holding forth, and Ed, like what an incredible group. Ed's from KGB, Billy Pedlow's from Pete's to me. I just sort of went to Pete's. Uh, so it's like the more we can do that, the more we can get overlap and get poets together, get people publishing each other, learning from each other. I mean, obviously you resonate with some people more than others. Should I turn the fucking light on? God damn it. Maybe I can get a better. 91. I want to do 2 hours. Not that anybody's watching at all. I guess it's Saturday. People are out doing other shit. Look, there they are. The 3 fucking transcripts. Well, now you can't see the goddamn screen. How's that? You can kind of see that. Okay, yeah. I mean, there we are, breaking all the rules. Fuck boys. The 3 varieties. I mean, I guess the 2 varieties. Billy Pedlow and I are sort of variations on the same thing, I guess. He's like a more realized version, like chicks dig Billy Pedlow. He's got like real fans and shit. Yeah, this shit. And then once again, here we are leaving the reading, walking through Williamsburg. It's a nice neighborhood. I don't know. It wasn't necessarily the dream to like spend one's whole life there, when moving to New York per se. But I mean, Pete's is a great open mic, and like, I just went last night, as a matter of fact. Ed was there. Most of the regulars were not there last night. Carlos wasn't there. Billy Pedlow wasn't there. Simona Blatt, the host. I don't think I've even been to one that she's been at. Recently, maybe the one in August. I think she was actually the hosting. These bridges, I never know what to do because you're tempted. You want to film because you're like, that's like one of the few times I get that vantage on New York. Like once again, I'm trying to show the city. This is the city. This is where it happens. We're in this. All these stories are in this. The KGB performances, the poets' gatherings, the walking. It's all in this, There's the Empire State Building. It's sort of the totemistic kind of like centering Eiffel Tower or whatever. And so, getting that kind of like, I don't know, bird's eye perspective. Crossing Williamsburg Bridge is almost like a Whitman-esque. And I love it. I mean, to be honest, it's incredible to me, and it's my fantasy life and my dream come true to be able to take a train out to an open mic, either in Long Island City or Williamsburg, and then to be able to walk home over a bridge. It's like flying. It's like being Superman. Or Lorca, right? That Speed Levitch thing, right? Lorca on Brooklyn Bridge. Life is not a dream. That feeling of floating. Okay, so this was way further back. This was, maybe I should have did the more recent episode. Should I do that commentary over that? This shit I don't even remember. Okay, so this was, oh no, this is Central Park. This was Central Park, like, because the weather was super nice. So it was just like there were tons of fucking people out. And so I walked up. I don't think I walked up to buy weed. I think I just literally just walked up to just go. And, God, what a beautiful day it's been. The light has been really nice. This window is going to be a really good part of the video, watching this window happen. That's the Ashbury building right there. There's Ashbury's ghost. He's watching us whack off. Mentally. Just kidding. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be crude, but there is the Matt Proctor Great Lawn. That's what I was talking about when I was muted, how they were going to bury me in Central Park in my apartment. I can't believe all that shit was muted. That was like the best shit I ever did. That kills me, man. That's like the story of my life. It's always when I get like super lit that like the hard drive dies. All the Holy Smokes, the best Holy Smokes recordings we ever did, the hard drive died. Every fucking time. I don't know. I don't even know. What's the best performance I ever did that I don't have on tape? I don't know. The performance in Oakland, I'd love to have that on tape. The performance Sarah and I did in Oakland was pretty lit. I didn't film it. Okay, I think this is when I stumbled upon secession filming. So that's like, once again, that's like a running motif through this video, is these film shoots. These TV show film shoots. They kind of invade the city. And so, or is that, maybe that's later. Fuck. I guess we're on the mall, so it can't be this one. God damn it. It had to have been this one. I'm doing audio commentary for shit I don't even remember. Well, anyway, I mean, that's, you know, part of my reason for wanting to get this shot, right, is if you've ever seen the movie Vanilla Sky, this is something I do want to address. The movie Vanilla Sky was very influential on me in high school. I saw it in the theater. I think it came out in 2001. I drove. It was like one of the first movies I like drove to see and paid to see by myself. Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise, directed by Cameron Crowe. It's a remake of Abre los Ojos. And they got Penelope Cruz to be, she's in both versions. And, I mean, she's the hottest woman in the world. But, you know, it's amazing. He lives in the Dakota. It's just funny. He's like this, he's the son of like a magazine editor. And he's just like this playboy kind of like perfect life. You know, he lives in the Dakota. He drives like a fucking sick car, you know, like, he's like Jan Werner or something. He's like the editor of like, you know, some kind of fucking like Rolling Stone Esquire type magazine, Maxim, whatever, you know, GQ, I don't know. He's got, you know, so it's like, but he's got this apartment in New York and it's Tom Cruise, right? And so, like, a lot of it is, like, in Central... I feel like in a certain way, like, maybe all of society went into some kind of, like, Vanilla Sky. Because the movie's about how he dies in this car wreck, but, like, they're able to, like, trick his psyche into thinking that, like, his life went on as normal and he's still alive and, like, everything's perfect. And it's, like, he's kind of trying to fight, or I don't know, it like glitches out or something and his face is all fucked up and he's like trying to, I don't remember. I haven't seen it in a long time. But like sort of the joke, his character's name is David Ames. So part of the joke is like, I feel like I'm kind of David Ames. I've always related to Cruise. I've always seen, you know, he's been one of my screen models. Risky Business. Magnolia. And Vanilla Sky, of course. And there's a shot of him on the mall. And it's like, it's one of those things where it's like too good to be true. It's like the leaves are falling and Penelope Cruz, and it's like a fantasy that he's having in like his cybernetic, cryogenic, like afterlife. Which I feel like they're able to like cryogenically freeze you when you like go into a coma and like, but like, give you this like simulation that like makes you feel like your life is continuing or something, in like some perfect way that's not real. So it's about like opening your eyes. and living in the real, I guess. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a long time. But I don't know. There's a lot of I'm trying to live my David Ames dream, basically. You know, in high school, this was one of the movies that I'm saying was like part of the New York mythology for me, right? There's a sequence in it. It's kind of a famous sequence where Tom Cruise runs through Times Square and it's like empty. You know, which at the time when they made this movie was like, that cost them tons of money, and it was like this unprecedented thing that they like halted traffic and all this. But then fucking, 9/11 or like the pandemic, the sight of Times Square being totally empty was not necessarily an uncommon one. I mean, it's not regular, but like, it's interesting how that movie kind of like presaged that or something. The seer, Cameron Crowe, his Broadway thing just tanked, I guess. It's closing, but I don't know. What the hell are you going to do? So this is the Central Park Zoo of the Simon and Garfunkel song in the Lou Reed. I don't know. That's what I think of. There's always like media attached to all this stuff. That's the way of romanticizing it, I guess. You're walking where the poets walked, which theoretically, I guess, makes you feel like you could be one of them, or like you are one of them. You're learning from this. If it's good enough for them, what could be better? I mean, New York is the media hype center. So, like, all these people are from the surrounding area. I mean, Paul Simon is he's from New Jersey, but he grew up in Queens. And Lou Reed is from Brooklyn and Long Island. It's like they romanticize their locality, right? And those songs are near NBC, media, Universal, whatever. They get on the radio. They get nationwide distribution. There's a lot of layers of romanticism and media portrayal, literature. There's the Plaza Hotel, right? I mean, there's tons and tons and tons of media. Home Alone 2, The Beatles. What is it? Eloise. Truman Capote, Black and White Ball. This is when I saw Tim Gunn. I went into Bergdorf Goodman. These fucking big department stores on Fifth Avenue and stuff, at a certain point you realize, hey, I got as much of the right to go in there as anybody. Why don't I go into Saks Fifth Avenue? I mean, I just thought I didn't mean to put Trump on blast or anything, but I was walking down Fifth Avenue and I just thought it was a funny... It's just weird how Trump has become... I do think that, like, we kind of silenced the grenade in a way. We really avoided, like, disaster. We were able to get the thing back on track, and it's almost like this thing that, like, came and went. It sucked. It was horrible. It changed our reality for, like, a few years. But that was sort of a tacit reference, A lot of my show took place during the Trump era, right? I started the show in 2014. That's when things were really starting to take off for me. During the optimism and the hope of the Obama years, things really were doing pretty good for me. They're starting to get better too with Biden, I gotta say. It does feel like the 20s could be a 60s. I think with Gen Z, I think the millennials were like the 50s. It was like a sleepy, beatnik time. Maybe the millennials were like the 40s. I don't know. But things could flower in the 20s, I hope. Maybe I'm way wrong about that, but this is before the tree. This is kind of interesting because this episode that I just put together is all of this same stuff, and the tree is there. So seeing all of these things in their different skins, showing the seasons development, the seasons change, right? It's a slow, this whole City Life series is like this slow build. It's meant to be this long, slow, like rivers and mountains scroll. of just on and on and on and on and on and on, like endless mountain ranges of just like buildings and streets and readings and performers and paintings and friends and interactions and like, but like, slow, steady pace. The library, this is something that it was important kind of in my single room occupancy episode. This fountain, I think this fountain is really like a grotto for poetry. I really think it's like an enchanted, uh like I go there to sort of pay and pray. There's Ashley. I mean, see, it looks like she's not wanting to be filmed, but it's a bit. Here we are in the Chelsea Hotel. I mean, what could be more glamorous than this? She's playing Chopsticks or Mary Had a Little Lamb. Or Three Blind that was Mary Had a Little Lamb? Yeah. So we recently did the literary interview here. In the Chelsea in El Quixote, where a cocktail $16. Oh, now somebody's watching. I got 15 minutes. I'm only doing 14 more minutes. So I'm doing a watch along. This is the Bard Room episode. This has been a cool aspect of my life recently, hanging out in these different... What's more literary than a hotel bar? There's nothing more literary than a hotel bar. We've been hanging out at the... so through the show, you see us go to the Algonquin, you see us go to the Chelsea. I don't even know what the... is there another one? Is there an equivalent? Like the Carlisle, the Pierre? Should we go to the Oak Room at the Plaza? I mean, to me, the Chelsea and the Algonquin... I like the Hotel Pennsylvania. Apparently, they're going to tear it down and build some stupid bullshit. I love the Hotel Pennsylvania. Like that, I really think is a beautiful building. I really don't think they should tear it down. It's almost like that New Yorker hotel. Like, it's a piece of Art Deco era New York. It's a big, it's this big kind of grand hotel. They've got a nice convention or like a boardroom on the top floor. Like, I mean, it's kind of janky and old. That's what's cool about it. Like, they should preserve some of that shit. They're just going to build some ugly Hudson Yard shit there. I don't know what the fuck this is. I mean, I'm just trying to film the apartment. A big part of my cinematic push is just to catalog my beautiful, if I'm lucky enough to live in a beautiful living space. You see that with the Slooge episodes. You see that with my seashell tapes. Even stuff I would film at my mom's house back in Grandview. Or the apartment on Quay. A lot of my earliest video stuff was just like, I just want to film the building, the road. There doesn't necessarily have to be a story. It's just like, it's just environmental. You want to capture, it's like a painting, It's just like, this is nice. So this was, I think this was like the day... It was around when my grandpa died, I think. And this day, I remember walking, and maybe it was the day of my grandpa's funeral, or it was like, maybe the day after he died or something. But there was this jazz band playing, and it was sunny, and he loved, like, Dixieland jazz music, and Louis Armstrong and stuff like that. And it just felt like a day to, like, go out and stroll, and, like, it felt like he was saying, like, hey, don't worry about it. Like, go out and have a fucking good time, Like, go out and just, like, shine, Like, don't worry about it. Like, you're here, you're doing your thing. Here's the jazz. Here's how I want to be celebrated. Like, that's a New Orleans jazz funeral, right? They're all playing music and shit. They're partying. It's like... Let's celebrate the person's life with joy. He lived 90 years. He had a beautiful life. I'm sorry I couldn't make it home to the funeral. I am, I think I'm on my way to the open mic. Bleecker Park is like my favorite park in New York, so it's a recurring thing. And I haven't been going there as much as I'd like to recently. I've had to I've been so busy. My mission has been to go to open mics and to meet people and to live poet life. Whereas like before it was just like, okay, I'm gonna sit in Bleecker Park and smoke weed and film myself, and it was good. You know, I think you see the show develop and grow over the course of the city life thing. The earlier episodes are like 30 minutes. I'm trying this and that. There's a lot of different courses it takes. Think, come back. The voiceover comes in and out. I don't really do any hosting ever, which I think is okay. I think just letting it play, you know. Once again, there's St. Ambrose, Julius, Three Lives. This is a really nice bookstore. I tried to sneak some of my books in there, and they disappeared. I think they are pretty strict about their inventory or something. But I did have an ad. I put up a flyer on the opposite corner for the Easy Paradise reading in July, because it's an ice cream place, and the flyer was like ice cream. It was an ice cream cone, and the flyer was up for like months. It was literally up for like at least a couple months. So it's a good place to hang a flyer. This is just me walking my way through the West Village. I just think the West Village is the most beautiful. The idea with shooting this footage was I was going to put voiceover of poetry on top of it. And I got so behind with footage. These 3 episodes are like 5 hours long combined. And so to record and place the footage, it would have just taken me like weeks to do. And so I just thought, you know what, fuck it. I need to put this shit out now, because like people need to see what it is because they're in it. And I think that will make it connect with them and like give it like an outside life, where it's like, now, okay, Zlad is in it, Ashley's in it, Kelsey's in it, Billy Pedlow's, all these people, now there's sort of like, there's a cast of characters. So it's like, people from the open mic are in it. They might want to watch it to see themselves. They might become a part of my life. Who knows? You see early appearances of people when I don't know them that well. You see them become closer to me. Like, so getting that footage out rather than sitting, if I would have put an episode from October out, a week from now, it would have been stale by that point. It's like I need to put this stuff out like while it's happening practically. So people go, "Oh yeah, like this is cool. This just happened. There it is. There's like the newspaper of us hanging out. There's like the wet Polaroid of like what just happened, and like, oh man, I want to be in it. I want to watch it. Oh, there's, like that's why I put out 43-minute episode, just to like, boom, like this is something that's like a little more digestible. There's a lot of people in it. It's not just me walking around New York and buildings and shit. It's a city symphony, right? It's a man with a movie camera, where it's like it's not entirely placing the human as an animal or like an anthropological specimen or, a being, a life force, just a natural life force within a natural environment. These buildings and shit are just like beaver dams or ant farms or whatever, trees. It's like living in fucking trees or caves or whatever. It's like this is just the modern kind of hut dwelling. And so like rather than mediate it, it's almost like a Cassavetes thing where like you can tell like the script was not like a mediator. You can tell that like it's not about the language or the line. It's about the behavior. And like, in fact, that's true of just humanity in general, is like the verbal content, the intellectual content, the understanding that we have of things is actually like an afterthought or like a thin kind of like layer on top. It's like a layer over. It's like a commentary track or like the way that we interpret shit. Whereas like a lot of our experience is kind of animalistic and like So I think when you just show raw video of people, it's almost like taking videos of like gorillas or something. And I don't mean that in like, a disparaging way. I mean, we are animals. We are not that much more developed. I am a gorilla. I'm a talking gorilla. I mean, I know that's not the most profound fucking thing in the world, but like, we're not that much further along than that, and we are part of that. We developed from that. They're part of our family. We are related to them. We are related genetically to the animals in a ancient way. So this was the open mic. I think that. Well, wait a minute. No, this was 1024. I think this was the one that all the Dime Square people were on. And so, was it, or who's in the audience? Pretty packed, pretty good crowd. I'm gonna go till 1:20, so I've only got 4 minutes left. Thank you for watching. You can go back to the beginning. I've been doing a watch along. Am I muted, or can you hear what I'm saying? I hope you can hear what I'm saying. See, look, there's a pretty good amount of people in there. I mean, it's like a Toulouse-Lautrec, like that's just a painting of like, here's the cabaret, here's the tables, the lights on the tables. This is a basic thing, the entertainment. Yeah, so this is a watch along. Oh, now I've got 2 viewers. Okay, I'm going to go for 4 more minutes. There's Kit Crash. He's singing a cappella, something I recommend everybody do. It's a beautiful way to perform. This saxophone thing was dope. He's looping saxophone. Now I have 3 people watching. God damn it. Now I have to stay on. Now people are going to start watching. Oh, well, thank you for watching. I'm doing a watch along with my episode Bard Room from October. These guys are incredible. I was just watching some of the open mics. I just made a playlist of all the open mics in chronological order so you can relive the whole series. It's like having the fucking Tonight Show DVDs or something. And so, the Los Diablos, Romanceros of Queens. Oh, now everybody left. They sound great. Their performance, a lot of the musical performances are really worth revisiting. They're really nice. A lot of the musicians sound very nice. There's John J. Trouse in the background. There's Ed. I need to put Ed on earlier. He's always going on after he gets like really shit-faced drunk. And a lot of times it's almost like he's passing out on stage, which I can relate to. When I smoke weed, I kind of go there, but I need to make sure he gets on earlier. This is a guy named Ben Callahan, who I just so happened to do a bunch of stand-up comedy open mics with. We did a bunch of open mics where it was literally just like us and like 2 other people. So we were kind of linked in this kind of cosmic way. And he came to the KGB open mic, which I was super excited about. Because he's funny. He's got a funny just kind of demeanor. And he's a smart joke writer. You can tell if he develops it, he could be pretty good at it. And then once again, just walking home afterwards. The moon is a recurring character on New York City streets tonight, is a line in one of my recent poems that sort of attaches to this video. The moon has been very present. And there's 337, the luckiest place on earth. My Shangri-La, my Xanadu. The greatest place on earth. This is, I think, 23rd Street. The buildings are like the shelves. The books are skyscrapers and office buildings. And just peace, You have the night where you have the party and the social, and then you have the personal. You have the day where you have looking for ideas. Here's Ultraman. That's a video game I had when I was a kid. I loved Ultraman. Had the toy. He was like a Power Ranger sort of precursor. I haven't been going to enough galleries and art shows and things. I don't even know where the fuck that was, to be honest. I don't remember going to that at all. Once again, here I am back in the churchyard, St. Mark's Church, the crossroads of the Lower East Side. smoking weed, probably. Or I think I'm going to work. Is that what I'm about to do? There's that fountain. There's really these really nice fountains. There's a nice fountain on Jefferson Market Library. It's almost like a poet's fountain. It's like Chaplin-esque. It's like something you'd see in a Chaplin movie. These like stone fountains in the fucking walls. Yeah, okay, so I am going to work. I think this was the Ted Berrigan. Yeah, because there's Edmund. There's the subtitles on the wall. It was packed. There's me working the video. I'm at work. I'm getting paid to be there. All right, so I've done an hour and 20. Maybe I'll just go till, there's the reverse on me just to show that I was there at the illustrious gathering. Ted was there. Is Ted's ghost in the footage? It's got to be. There's John Godfrey, the greatest poet alive, maybe. And there's Alice Notley, the greatest poet alive. I wanted to work my way into these. I mean, I probably shouldn't admit that, but like, I do think it's important to get these, footage of these poets and get them, living. Like, I can do it with my poet friends, I guess, or I do it with my poet friends, film and film the readings and film the hangouts. But like, the idea was to get St. Mark's, to get, to put, to include and to weave the circles together, to weave what we're doing with the East Village poets, and to be able to, possibly be friends and like, yeah, so here we are at the Algonquin, right? Here's the other literary hotel, right? This is when I met up with Zlad and Erican. All right, maybe that's a good place to start for next time. I think I'm going to sign off. All right, well, thank you for watching. There's my watch along. I don't know. I think that was, let me know how you liked it. It's a way to talk about some topical shit. Maybe I'll do my most recent episode in the next one, because that's a little more current. Thank you for watching. We'll talk soon.